to this late breakout session on how we're changing customizations with Dynamics 365 for finance and operations. And to tell you a little bit about that, I have Chris alongside with me. Chris?
Hi, I'm Chris Gardy. I'm a program manager based in Fargo. I work on platform extensibility and then a few other things on the platform.
And my name is Frank Dale. I work out of Denmark, actually, and my role is coordinating on the extensibility request we are seeing and planning and making sure we execute around that. So with that, let's turn into looking at what we get to cover in this session. We'll start out by looking a little bit into what's really the motivation that went behind that we were going on this path of changing the customizations towards extensions and the roadmap has been so far. We'll then shift gears into looking a bit on the ecosystem impact. This means all up from obviously us at Microsoft, partners, ISVs, VARs alike, and also for companies if you're having specific implementations there to consider. We'll talk a bit about the process side of that and how you'll drive that under these changed conditions, in particular if you are facing that there are things you cannot customize under the new model, how you navigate that space. Then we'll hand it over to Chris and he'll talk a bit about extensibility capabilities. This can only be somewhat at a high level because obviously there's a load of detail in this space here, but we'll cover the surface of that and most predominantly we'll refer you to some resources so you can go continue working on this on an offline basis. And we'll wrap it up with some Q&A at the end. Hopefully we'll have good time for covering some of that, and so do ready your questions as we go. So I thought we'll start out by taking a little bit of a sidetrack maybe. Bikers, as most of you quite likely are familiar with, tend to be riding in pace lines. And so the general idea of that is that the group is working together. You have someone sitting up front, cutting the wind, and they take turns on which take point on the line. And in this way, working together and achieving getting to that finish line together. Consider this a metaphor for how an implementation project for ERP is. In the sense, everyone rallied together to make this happen. The companies that are looking to have implementation, the partners, which may constitute both VARs and ISVs in the mix, all focused around making sure the implementation are happening in a timely manner. And usually that works well. But then beyond the implementation, what we quite commonly are seeing is that focus kind of water out. Some of the involved parties focus on different things, and quite commonly implementations doesn't have the same amount of focus and gets a little bit behind in terms of the current application, making it really hard to do a catch-up to the most current. And in particular, if the joint focus is not there, then it can be really hard, and many are left behind on many versions behind, making it quite costly actually to go through a migration to the more current versions. This is some that we are hoping to change. So this really speaks to why are we doing extensibility. Extensibility, think of this as a means to a goal. Extensibility in itself is helping enable where we want to be going. Sure, that we are doing extensibility and substituting the overlayering, that in itself will help address the overheads involved in migrating code that I'm sure all of you are familiar with. Having this done by extension means that we no longer have that process And so this help enable really what ultimately becomes the goal, that we can come into a position where we can support continuous updates on environments. The upside of that is that we get to a state where you can have faster implementations, you can more seamlessly be servicing environments because you're not having those extra steps you need to be going through. And what we are trying to achieve with this is that we are able to innovate alongside Microsoft partners in unison. And from a company point of view, what this should also equate to is that there will be a lower TCO involved in running your solution, getting to the current versions will become more seamless. In fact, you may have been used to needing to go through upgrades. If some of you were attending the session that Shelley did Wednesday, the one named Microsoft Managed Continuous Updates and Support Experience, codename BRK3405, you'd have heard of how we are moving into, with the 10.0 release coming out in the springtime, that we are then in a continuous update type of basis. If you haven't seen that, then surely go watch it offline. I strongly recommend that. So it all connects into that. And an effect of that change is also that we expect to see that we will have improvement in quality. And quality then you could break down into a couple of initiatives that are all aligning along that. Quality as something we are achieving through some changes during development is the first group of this. In this new customization model, where we're no longer having overlayering, where we're merging code and kind of building something together, which at times can be a little bit intertwined, we are rather now in the new model with extensions, looking at that each solutions are built independently, and so that means that it needs also, by the whole premise of that, to be additive by nature, so it changes some of the conditions on how we are doing customizations. Again, the upside being that we'll have a stronger, more robust type of solution all up that adds to the quality. So really it's about also in the design to be considerate about when you are adding capabilities, how you're doing it in a way that is respectful for side by side. And by side, I'm referring to that you have one partner solution that needs to be able to work together with another partner solution without you have essentially any interaction going between your solutions. They are deployed side by side and should each be additive by nature and jointly enrich the solution without interdependencies. So it's a little bit of a different type of nature on how customizations are done, and a little bit more thought process needs to be going into that. But ultimately that we are getting into a state where the solutions we are having are becoming more robust, and we have then the positive outcome of that in terms of the more seamless type of servicing, the continuous updates, and as well the quality aspect of that. The enabler this provides with a continuous update is that we can keep companies on the current fixes at all times. And what we have really been seeing a whole lot is that many companies are not taking very critical hotfixes. We can see this from our telemetry information, and it's not uncommon, it's actually quite common that we're finding some issues getting reported where in fact they have been resolved half a year ago or longer. Only the KBs has not been taken, and so we're really looking for getting out of that mode into that staying current with the current versions will help address that, and so essentially take away that bad experience from running into an issue because you would have it fixed in a more timely type of manner. There's a positive coming out of this as well, that we will be reducing the number of versions that we are maintaining. in part us from Microsoft, but certainly also among the partners. We have had a lot of feedback from ISVs and VARs on the upside of this, because today many different versions are maintained, and it's generating quite a significant overhead. And there's risk too also that across these versions that they are not really moving in the same direction, or there's slightly different changes to that. So you can even find across these different versions that even so you're intending for fixing a particular issue, you're not done quite the same way another one, and so you're not really fixing it all up. And so getting to fewer versions in itself should also lead to that we get a stronger and better quality compared to where we are today. So that too contributes to that. Obviously, as we are in this continuous update mode, there's something to consider in our design. We need to make sure we can do this in a safe way, and so compatibility becomes a key part of to make that viable. And so I'll speak a little bit to in more detail some of the initiatives that we from Microsoft are kicking off there. But I'll add that one initiative that you're able to take part in, that we are adding a capability of recording and executing automated tests that we certainly are inviting for that you start using. The general idea here is that by automating some of your tests, you should be able to offset some of the manual testing you might otherwise do as part of your UAT and make that whole process of going through that cycle more seamless for you. We are even extending this to that for some companies, if you're interested, that we can take in your environments and be running some tests early on in the cycles. So that's an option if you're interested in that. Actually, in the session I referred to from Shelley, she invited to that. So again, go visit that session in order to be updated on that part. A little bit on terminology, and this is historic really at this point of time. We have been referring to soft and hard sealing, and this is just to put this in comparison to what you might be familiar with the overlayering, that we have gradually moved away from the support of the overlayered code. With the 7.3 release, the fall of last year, we started introducing models that were so-called soft sealed, meaning that you'd be getting warnings if you had any type of overlayered code. And with the 8.0 release that came out in the springtime this year, we are now hard sealing the full application, meaning that the only solution for doing customizations are now through extensions. And that is the model forward. So extensions is the way to customize on a forward-going basis. When we look across these different versions that's been coming out recently, and also looking ahead into the 10.0, what we have been doing behind the scenes or in collaborations with others have, up until the release of the 8.0 release, up to that point of time, it was still doable for the application, at least the application suite, to be doing overlayering, and so the pressure was not so dominant at that. So we used that time in working very closely with a lot of our ISVs and making sure their solutions were ready for the 8.0 release. And as we released the 8.0 release, we had around 120 solutions out of the 170 that were without any overlayered code and shipping with the 8.0 release ready to go deploy. And we have had many new deployments happen since then that are then deploying these solutions, utilizing the fact that now we are only by extensions. As of the 8.0 and forward, we have kind of shifted our focus a little bit in how we are approaching working on the extensibility, getting more focused on implementation projects. Now with the 8.0, there's no longer the option for doing overlaying. Now you really need to get down to the business of doing extensions. And so interactions with those companies that were looking to go live on 8.0 or later has really been taking over as the focus that we have been doing. And so we have been working with many companies during this time, since spring, in enabling them to go live on the 8.0, and we have a significant install base on 8.0 customers at this point, and that continues to continuously are coming more and more. So that's really been working out well for us. If we look ahead into the spring release of next year, note this will be version 10. We're skipping 9. And again, Shelley's session speaks a little bit more in detail of that. But as of that point of time, we're really in this mode where we are having this continuous update process available there also. So during this time, these changes will start to happen. And there's a couple of resources that I point to here that were released prior to this conference that you can go study as well, but certainly also the session from Shelley that I think I've been referring to many times. So shifting gears into talking a bit about, so from an ecosystem point of view, and by ecosystem I refer to Microsoft, partners, customers, what is really the impact that we're looking at? So I spoke about how we from Microsoft have been working on this. We have actually been working on this for the better part of 2 years now, maybe even longer for some things. And so we've really been focused on making this a reality. We have been adding a whole lot of capabilities into the platform to enrich the toolbox on some of the capabilities for extensibility, and Chris will be covering some of that later on in this session. And as of sharing, we have been working closely with the ISVs and addressing whatever extensibility needs that they were having, which then also includes changes into the application. And at this point in time, I believe we are at a state where we have been addressing in the area of 7,000 requests. So there's a lot of actions and work that we have been doing in this space. And so gradually you're seeing that the toolbox, the platform, the capabilities with that, alongside with the changes that we have made in order to ready the application, gradually are making it more available for you to do your customizations as part of your implementations. Let's have a look at this from how you are driving an implementation project, how that would interact into that project. And now here I'm referring to an implementation project, but really it could as well have been a migration project that you're doing. Now, we have this concept of extensibility request that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. What it is when you are finding that what we have available with the toolbox and the changes in the application come up short to what you need to do, then you may be in a state where you need us, to Microsoft, to assist you in enabling a particular type of extension. What's important here is that you do your groundwork, meaning do not assume that a customization that you did with overlayering should be done in exact the same way. Think the new paradigm of extensions and how your customization best align to that. That can well involve some degree of redesign, and so taking a step back and analyzing that, utilizing the resources that we have made available, educating yourself in this space is actually a part that's quite important to make sure that you're logging extensibility requests of quality. So assuming you have gone through that and you're logging your extensibility requests, what will happen is at the back end, we will be on the receiving end of that. We'll be reviewing these requests. We'll assess, is this request one that we can go action on? And there can be a couple of reasons influencing that we cannot do that. For instance, if the request that's been logged is only partially including information, then we would have to say, no, it's not actionable at this state. It might also be that the requests that are made is violating some of the principles that I alluded to earlier, like site-by-site execution by extensions. And so that also may lead to that we cannot address it as such. In such circumstances, we would actually be returning the request back. We'll close it out and saying, no, we cannot do it like that. there will be a little bit of a comment provided in the extensibility request. And so back to the drawing board and figuring out the different types of design here. At times, we can end up in a situation where you need some type of interaction, some assistance. We'll take that on a case-by-case basis. We are looking for getting into a mode where this whole process is running seamlessly so that we are not inferring any unnecessary delays for your implementations. So actually we are operating with an SLA of 2 weeks that we are going from when you are locking your request to when we will have it triaged like this. So either you will see it return back to you, or we will have it triaged, indicated by a date. I'll show you how that's showing up in LTS, so that you know, okay, at Microsoft we have said, yes, we can do that. And the next step obviously will be that we move into working on this, as you see at the bottom, where we'll start implementing those changes that are necessary in order to enable the extension. While we're doing that, there's actually options by which that you can proceed in doing your implementation. We have an option that's available where you can relax the hard ceiling on the models, the app suite, while you're doing development. Now, this is an option only available while you're on these one-box development environments. On the docs pages, there's actually an article talking in great detail, one Chris published at some point, explaining exactly on how to go about doing that. And so by this, you're able to actually continue doing your implementation based on some assumptions on how we likely are going to enable that extensibility request, and thereby minimizing some of the time you otherwise would infer from otherwise waiting for us to provide the request. So we are continuing working on the extensibility request, and ultimately we are getting into a state where we are releasing that. And release is only going to happen on the most current version. So really, when you're talking about an implementation on migration, look for updating or upgrading, if you're coming from a very early version, to the most current version, because that's where we are providing the extensibility request. We are not providing extensibility request for an older version. We're going for the newer versions only, really in line with the messaging that on the continuous update. And this may mean that in implementation, you may be shifting from one version to another, but mind you, it's an update that we're moving to. We're making a lot of changes on how you'll more seamlessly be able to move to the newer versions. I'll not go into too much detail of that. As we are releasing that, and we are releasing that on a monthly cadence by monthly updates, every single month we're releasing new extensibility requests and also some hotfixes alongside with that. So as we are knowing the request, we will be processing on that, and so there will at least be a month, maybe 2 months of time lag from when you're locking a request to when we can make it available for you to go work on. And so that is really something you should be considering in your implementation projects, that there is some delay involved in this, and make sure in your plans that you cater for that. It really ties back into doing an early effort in trying to analyze what requests you will need, maybe even by some prototyping, will work in your favor. If you then can lock the request at a more timely manner, then you can better absorb that time that goes into addressing the extensibility request. As of that point, you'll obviously be deploying that monthly update. You'll be integrating to the extensibility requests that come now with the standard application. And you'll remove any temporary footprint of where you have done overlayering in order to work around it. Going through or getting to a state then where you have your application running without any overlayering, then allow you for taking it into a production environment, doing your UAT and going live subsequently. So I thought I will just briefly show to you on how you're locking extensibility requests, and I'm quite sure that many of you are familiar with that already. At least we're seeing a good number of extensibility requests logged. So what I'm showing you here is that how I've been logging into LCS and how to navigate from there. What in the first hand you are doing when you're logging request is you need to be looking at this in the context of a particular type of implementation project. This may be a migration for a customer. It may be a particular ISV solution that you are migrating as part of this. Do look to split it out like that, and I'll show you in a second why that is. Then you're navigating to the support tab. And please ignore the messes that come up here. I have been skipping a step. That's why you see it. And at the bottom here, you have extensibility support requests. This is where you're logging your request, and there's an option for managing extensibility options. This is one that is shared for all requests that you're doing. So like if you are now logging request for, say, an ISV solution as I'm having it here, I am able to, in this way, indicate what the name of the solution is. It makes it more seamless if we are having some interactions on these requests that they are, in this sense, grouped together logically. You can subsequently go in and open up this option and make changes to this one that would then retroactively update all the logged requests you have under that project already. So again, it's a shared information. You'd be logging requests by this option here, which is logging requests where one of the fundamental is a request type. From the experience we have obtained in working with extensibility for almost 2 years, we have come to see certain patterns by which that extensibility logically fall into. And so we have then made them available here. What you're seeing when I'm selecting one of them is actually that the fields made available align with that particular type. So with each type, there can be certain type of information that are relevant to be asking for, and so that will become available here. Going back to the quality of what you're logging, here it's really important that you spend your time in making sure to provide the information. And one thing I'd like to call out is we have at the bottom here, a business scenario. Why would we need to know the business scenario? Let me tell you that. When we are looking at an extensibility request, knowing the scenario helps us understand what are we trying to achieve. We are striving for, as we are addressing a request, to make it in a way that can address potentially a wider set of needs. So if there are two companies having a similar type of requirement, we are hoping for that as we are addressing the first one, that the second one or later ones will be unblocked just by that. And so knowing a bit of that context is really helping us, making sure we can factor in that quality up front. You can, with these requests, attach something. If you're finding it convenient to share, say, a snippet or a supporting document, you can do that. We encourage that. So that's an option also. And in the point of contact information, provide obviously the name and the email in the event that we are needing to reach out to you, that we know who to go contact there. We have fairly recently been adding a couple of capabilities. In fact, they're not even documented yet. When you're having requests like this, you're able to click on the ID, and that opens this slider on the right-hand side showing some additional detail. And one thing you might notice is that there's a field here called triage date. Now, going back to the slide I had on the implementation where I spoke about the triage, this is where you're seeing when we have done the triage. And if you're seeing a date provided here and on an active request, then that means, yes, we believe we can address that, and you should assume the next thing happening is we'll start planning and executing on that. So the next thing you logically will see will actually be the next field here, the planned release. And so we're striving for expanding the window where you have insight to when we are going to address the request so that you get heads-up information on when we are providing it so that you can align your implementation alongside with that. For those requests that we are closing out, what you'd find is sometimes in the resolution, in the description here, actually I need to be looking at a closed one, that there's a resolution text where you would be able to read some additional information on the request. Sometimes it's a standard description, other times if there's something specific that we want to guide you towards, we'll have specific detail provided for that. So that at the high level is some of this. It's an experience we're still continuing evolving on, so we'll add more.
Did you want to click on it again?
No.
Okay.
So really to reiterate on the triage, what we are considering when we're looking at the triage is some of the principles that we have set out with extensibility. And on the docs resources, there's really some quite good documentation made available that add more context to what this means and what kind of thinking. So I strongly encourage you to go read up on those. But at a high level, again, supporting the side-by-side, there's no binary coupling between two solutions that you're adding atop of the standard. So they need to be respectful of each other and be able to coexist by executing side-by-side. They also need to be made in a way with good patterns. So like consider how you're making a good API to build your extensions on so that you have good resilience to any type of changes in the Microsoft code. So all of this is to consider how, again, the quality of this aligns with what we need to do. And enable the servicing and the updates subsequently. Again, not violating those fundamental principles that we have documented out is quite key. Now, as we have been doing all of that, certainly it's important that all that effort is not done in vain. And so in order to ensure that the customizations you've been building by extensions is done in a way where you can rely on that you can update without needing to go through making changes alongside with that. We're actually doing a set of initiatives within Microsoft. One thing we're doing is that we are adding telemetry information where we're reading off what APIs are getting used. This informs us to, if you have been building a subscription on some API, that we make sure that if for any reason we have to drive a change to that, then we're actually targeting to provide you at least a major release of heads-up information on that, so that we manage that change. In extreme cases, we will then otherwise be able to reach out to you and drive the change alongside with you, so there should not be any type of surprise in this space. So we are making a lot of changes like that. We even have toolings then that, as part of our development process, help flag if, in fact, that we are violating such APIs in place already. And then I spoke about also some of the changes that we are doing in order to safeguard us. As part of the new release, we will actually be having a release where we will have additional rings or different rings by which we're rolling out new versions. I'll not go in detail of that because that's too detailed, but again, go back to the session Shelley presented on this. But it helps us gradually ensure that we have good quality. If we're finding some red flags along with that, then we can stop and fix early and not risking breaking anyone with that. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Chris.
All right. Yeah, so Frank's talked through kind of the process and a lot of the reason why we're adding these extension capabilities, and I'm going to talk about some of the extension capabilities that we have, kind of provide you a broad overview of them, and then I'll show some of them at work. So customization and extension. So yeah, finance and operations is a highly customizable application. There is non-developer customization that you should explore before you even start getting into the kind of metadata and X++ extension side of things. So personalizing the client, the personalization, sharing, and management capabilities that we have today are fairly good. Those are going to be improved over time. We have this thing called saved views coming shortly. So if you're familiar with AX2012 and the idea of having saved queries, saved views are going to be like a saved query with personalization information built in. So that's going to allow you to provide your customers with saved views that more closely match what they're expecting to see. You can create Power Apps, and you can embed those in the client. And you can create additional fields and do that in a non-developer way. You're doing that as kind of data, and those get added as table extensions so that those are available on forms, the table, and even the entities as well. On the developer side of things, you can create custom controls. You can do extension via CDS, so you can work in with CDS to have the data flowing out and then take advantage of that data by talking to CDS. And you can extend via integration. So you can set up integrations out to other applications and then in that way extend the application. And then finally, yeah, you can extend using our extension capabilities for metadata and X++. And now I'll dive into those. So for Frank already mentioned in terms of extending metadata and X++, we're trying to make it easier to eliminate overlayering from deployments as far as implementations is concerned. And then also for ISVs and partners, eliminating overlayering from the solutions that you might be creating. So there's a lot of documentation out there. I might just shift over to my laptop real quick to show that documentation. We have an extensibility homepage. We have an extensibility homepage that provides a lot of information about extensibility options. So there's an introduction section. We've recently been expanding the frequently asked questions area to provide more kind of information about extensibility, some of the justification and reasons why we can't do certain extensions. So why wasn't my extensibility request accepted? There is a What's New section that talks a little bit about some of the older changes. For information about newer changes, you're going to want to go to the release notes. So we have release notes out there for all of the different releases that are coming out. So we've got a platform extensibility page out there covering all of the changes that came in Platform Update 16 through Platform Update 20. So you can see a full list of those there. One of the highlights being the extensibility capabilities that we added around being able to extend a form to add workflow onto that form. And then we have engineering complete of Platform Update 20 actually happening today. So the engineers are wrapping up Platform Update 20. And these are all of the capabilities that were added in Platform Update 20. So you can see those in that Wave 2 document. And then we've got a Wave 3 document out there that I just updated a couple of days ago. This is containing our plan for Platform Update 22. And then we've got additional waves that will be published probably next week around Platform Update 23 and 24 as far as our expected plans there. And getting back to the documentation, so we've got two kind of key sections or three key sections. There's a fundamentals section in here that runs through some of the fundamentals for extension capabilities. A large section on creating extensions, so a lot of the different scenarios that you'll have, adding values to enums, adding indexes to tables, changing form captions, modifying form control properties. All of those different scenarios are covered out here. And then under creating extensible solutions, there's kind of some guidance around how you can create solutions that take advantage of extensibility and kind of write them in the way that we would write them, and we would suggest you write them, covering all of the different types you might have in there. So I'll switch back to the slides. So we have a lot of documentation out there for you to take advantage of. Those are the extensibility release notes that I mentioned. So as far as metadata extensibility, so for tables, views, and data entities, we allow for additive changes. The key for all of this metadata, all of the metadata extensibility capabilities is we want it all to be additive. So you'll notice as I'm running through this, all of the capabilities are additive. And as Frank mentioned, sometimes extensibility requests get rejected. One of the common things is when it's going to cause a change. So for example, changing an index. Changing an existing index is one that we commonly get requests for, and that's covered in the frequently asked questions and the documentation as to why we can't do that, because it's a change to the index. So yeah, adding fields, field groups, relations, indexes. You can take advantage of the framework events, the on-inserting, on-inserted, for example, and then you can use code extensions so you can extend existing display methods. For forms, you can do a lot of additive metadata. You can take advantage of framework events. You can hook into those, subscribe to those, and provide code that will run in response to those events. And then you can do code extension using class augmentation. For reports, you can't extend the reports themselves, but you can extend the things related to the reports. So you can extend the data providers, the menu items, the controller classes, and you can duplicate the report itself if need be and kind of provide a separate report and extend the things related to it. And then for EDTs, extended data types, you can change the labels, add country region codes if you want to add to an additional country region. You can extend the menus and menu items, the security related metadata, queries. We've just added a lot of query capabilities in terms of extension, and we've got another couple coming up that you'll see in the documentation and the release notes. And then the base enums you can extend as well if those are marked as extensible, and if it isn't marked as extensible, you can always make a request to get an enumeration made extensibility compatible. So for X++, so that was kind of all of the metadata side of things, and now I'll touch on the X++ extensibility. So for X++ extensibility, you can take advantage of pre and post events. There are also business events and system events, and then there are extension methods that you can create. You can extend class state, and then there's this whole kind of much larger area that we call chain of command. So for pre and post events, you can take, all of the public methods have pre and post events, and you can take advantage of those. You can see here an example where journal posting, the calc amount method, it's taking advantage of the post handler for that, and writing some code in response to that to kind of look at the country region and add an amount to it as needed. For business events, you can add delegates into a class, and then you can have people subscribe to those delegates. You can see an example of that, someone subscribing to the posted event on journal posting to add some logging for journal history. And then for system events, there's a lot of events that we have defined in metadata, so you'll see those in the AOT as an events node underneath different types. So on activated, on closing, on initialized, and so on. You can take advantage of those. And then extension methods, so you can provide extension methods. Down the bottom there is an example of that. You can say that you're creating an extension of some class and add a method in there. For example, they're adding full name into the person name class. And then you can extend the class via delegates. So this is an example of extending a class via delegates. In this example, the Microsoft code, it's a journal posting class that has a posted and a posting event, and we saw some of that just before. In this example, it's taking advantage of those, doing what we just looked at, creating a post handler for the journal posting, the calc amount method, and adding an amount of $100 if it happens to be Italian. The journal posting happens to be Italian. And then it's taking advantage of the posted to add some logging. So this is one way to accomplish this. If there are delegates that are added into the class, you can take advantage of those and add that code. There is another way, and that's extending the class via chain of command. In this example, you can see the Microsoft code is a lot smaller. So back to the previous one where there are explicit delegates created with the posted and the posting delegates. Now that code is a lot simpler. It doesn't need to declare those delegates ahead of time. And then the extension code becomes a lot simpler as well. So you can see if I flip back to before, you have this idea of like a post handler and a very complicated set of attributes. You're also needing to take the args and parse through those and grab the values out and then set a return value. So it's kind of a fairly complicated coding pattern. Whereas what you can do in chain of command in this example is you can just create a calc amount method and it looks like the code that you want to write anyway. The key piece in here is inside of this calc amount method, you can see we're grabbing, we're looking for whether this is Italian. We're setting some state, so that private boolean is Italian. We're setting some state in the calc amount method that will take advantage not only of inside of the calc amount method, but also in the post method. So you can take advantage of state. And then we are getting the amount that the method previously was returning with that next call in the second line of the calc amount method. So we're getting that old amount, and then we're basically just saying, if this is Italian and it's an inventory journal, now we're going to add an amount of $100 to that previous total, and we're going to return that. And then this post method becomes a lot simpler because we can have a transaction around our code, and we have the idea of a nested transaction. So the existing post that was happening, we're going to call next to do that existing post. That's going to have a transaction. It's going to be a nested transaction inside of the transaction that we declared. And then we're going to say, if this is Italian, we want to do some additional logging, and then we're going to commit that. So it's a much simpler coding pattern if you take advantage of chain of command. And we have a lot of documentation out there to kind of guide you through how to do that. Chain of command, it is supported on public and private methods and members. There's no refactoring on the application side often needed in terms of adding those delegates especially. The one thing that you might need to request is the extensibility request type of method change, where you'll basically give us the changed code that you want for that method. So it might be breaking that method in two at a certain place. You're saying, I want to break this method in two so that I can hook into just this one single piece of the method. That's a request that we get a lot.
Sorry, Chris. Actually, it's the extract method.
Oh, extract method, sorry. Yeah. So using chain of command, a lot of our customers and partners are unblocked because you don't need to wait for us. And as I walked through before, the code is easier to author. It's nice and simple. It looks a lot more like the code that you would normally write. and it supports multiple ISVs side by side in the way that you can write something and call next, and you're kind of adding on. It's like methods layered on top of one another. So now I'll just show a quick demo. Show a quick demonstration of, once I find my mouse, and once I get connected. So I showed you in the platform extensibility enhancements in PU20, we added the ability to add workflow to a form using extensibility. So I'm going to take advantage of that and add workflow to a form. So I'll just refresh these forms. Get my machine all ready to go. So we have an expense management form. We have an expense management form that lists off expenses and allows people to enter in expenses, create expense reports. So I'm just going to go straight there since I know the URL. We have an expense report form. We also have an expense management workspace. So the expense management workspace shows expenses. It has a tab for expense reports. It shows them here. You can see that. It doesn't, however, allow you to submit those via workflow. This is something that people have discussed, whether a workspace should allow you to submit via workflow. So per the pattern and the guidance from our user experience people, you're not meant to let users submit expenses from the workspace. But we're going to break the pattern a little bit just to demonstrate the extensibility capabilities, and we're going to add that capability. So this is my expense report page. I can create an expense report. Warmed up. Create a new expense report, and we're just going to give it a date. And we're going to give it the expense category of meal, and we're going to give it an amount, we'll just say $300. So I've got my expense report created. I can save that. And then the thing that will show up on the expense reports page is a workflow submit button. So you can see that submit button showing up there nicely. Back on the expense management workspace, if I refresh this, I should now see that expense report showing up on the expense management workspace, but I won't have the ability to submit that expense. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out what form that is. So it's the TRV expense workspace form. So then over here, I just so happen to have the TRV expense workspace form right here. And I can right click on this and I can say create extension. So I've already done that, created an extension of that form. We'll just delete this other one. So I've already created that extension, and then I'll just delete some of the metadata that I added in there previously so that you can see that happening fresh. So this is what the TRV expense workspace form looks like. It's got this workspace tab. It's got some text up here. And then if I want to add a submit button, one of the easy things that I can do is I can just come over here to the TRV expenses form, which is that expense report form. And I can grab this workflow button group and I can just copy that over to my extension once I have added in an action pane. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say new, action pane. It's going to create a new action pane. I'm going to move that up to the top. So this is adding an action pane into my extension. And then I'm going to right click on that. I'm going to say paste. So I'm pasting in some metadata from another form, and I'm adding that metadata via extension. So you can see the submit button especially is the one that we're interested in. It's got all of the properties there from the previous form. All of those are going to work because we have the same data source names and such. And then on the design, the key properties here to add are this TRV expense table data source, I pointed to that, enabling the workflow enabled equals yes, and then this workflow type, so TRV document template. All of those values, again, are shared with the TRV expenses form, so you can see those right there, the same values. You can see in the TRV expense workspace extension that I've got here, not all of the properties are editable. So these are properties that we've made editable over time, that we've opened up. These are metadata extensibility requests that people have logged, and these three properties are ones that we enabled in Platform Update 20. So now that those are enabled, I'll just make sure that my action pane is, visible, and the submit button is there. So now I can build that up. And once that's built, I'm going to refresh the workspace form, and we should see a submit button there. And the workflow properties are basically going to help that submit button point at the expense data source and then facilitate the submission of the workflow.
Chris?
Yeah, question.
You still have to have the workflow document, all the other pieces of that workflow type in the background here, so they're already there.
Yeah, the question is, do you have to have all the pieces of the workflow document in the background? Yes, all of those kind of workflow pieces already exist, so the type and the document and the class and the logic and the different actions, all of those exist, And this workflow is available on a number of different forms, and this is just kind of adding it onto this one form, So my build is completed, so now I can jump back to the expense management workspace, and I can refresh that. The lightning speed of a developer box. Just try hitting enter on that again. And while that's coming up, I'll just mention, so that's metadata extensibility, and we'll see that in just a second. The other thing that you can take advantage of is chain of command. So I've got a class here that is showing off the kind of chain of command X++ extensibility capability that you can also have. So in this example, I'm saying this class is an extension of the expense workspace, and you can point at methods like the run method and present a message, an info message, and you can point at the can submit to workflow method. So in this example, I'm just going to make it so that any expense report can be submitted to workflow, but you could change this method. You could change the return value of that method depending on the record state, so that you define what can and can't be submitted to workflow. Let's just jump back and see those metadata changes at least. Great, so now we can see I've got this $300 expense report here, and we've added extension metadata to add an action pane and a button group, and inside of that button group, the submit button is now available on that expense report. And I can say submit and put some comment in and then submit that and then back on the expense reports page, we'd see that value coming through. But my dev box is running a little slow, so I'm just going to hand back to Frank. So that's an example of metadata extensibility, and then showing you the chain of command side of things as well.
Thank you, Chris. So what I also want to just touch a little bit is that across the application, we've been making many small changes, but there's a couple that are a little bit more extensive. And so one that I'd like to call out is what we have been doing around inventory dimensions. Some of you are probably familiar with that prior to extensions, that you could be adding an inventory dimension, or largely so, by changing a macro. By including an additional dimension in that macro, you could recompile the application, and thereby the precompiler would then inject that kind of code to make it part of the solution. Now, in this new model where we from Microsoft are shipping binaries independent of partner and customer implementation binaries, and they're no longer coupled, that option no longer exists. In fact, you're no longer compiling the standard application. When we are having these monthly updates, we are providing binaries for you. Now the code will still be there so that you can consult that as part of debugging or figuring out where to go extend for sure. But that change paradigms mean that we could no longer rely on the model that used to be for you to be adding inventory dimensions. So we had to come up with a different approach. What we have been doing is that we have been adding 10 inventory dimensions, implementing that in the data model. They're called with a generic type of naming because really they're not reflecting any particular dimension usage with that. It's essentially a set of placeholders we have made available in the data model. What you're then looking to do is that when you're implementing a solution that are needing an inventory dimension, you're doing this by referring indirectly to a dimension. So like if you're adding a variant to a product, you'd be doing that by referring to a type of a method, a logical abstraction, and building all your logic around that. And it's only at the point when you're actually deploying your solution for a particular customer that you would be mapping out that logical use of the variant should link to one of the dimensions in the data model. The upside of that is the 10 dimensions we have made available is really the superset of how many dimensions you can go deploy on any one installation. None of these dimensions are going to be earmarked for any partner. In fact, I would imagine that ISVs would be building the solution with the package that are focusing on the logical usage, and maybe even providing some standard packages for how that logical dimension is mapped to one of the physical dimensions and another package for another of the physical dimensions and so forth, so that when you're looking at an implementation, you talk about across all the ISV and VAR solutions that are there, and then you're saying, okay, in this installation, we want to designate that physical dimension to that ISV solution, and then are picking that package that are making that particular mapping, and for another ISV, you'll then be mapping to whatever is available for that. And so it's somewhat a different type of thinking on the implementation of inventory dimensions, something to become familiar with. And to help assist you, there's certainly documentation pages available that we encourage you to go study. In that, there's also a link to the one that I included here, namely a sample implementation where we are in effect showcasing how you can add, in this case, a flavor dimension as a product dimension. where you have the separation between the logical packages and the mapping packages that I referred to. So that's a means by which you can get going on this. The net obviously is that the way you've been extending inventory dimensions through overlayering has to be changed as subject to this. It can no longer be supported. There are other examples across the application where we've been making some changes to enable extensibility, where there's a slight type of change to what you've been seeing before. In these instances, again, you'll find documentation pages that have been provided, so that I encourage, when you're doing a particular type of customization, look up those documentation resources to see if there's reference to some of that may guide you along the way on how to do these. So with that, we're really looking to be wrapping up. Hopefully we got to provide you with a good level of insight to how across the full ecosystem that each one of us are to an extent impacted by that. With the overlayering, you had a good level of flexibility in how you could do customization independent of us from Microsoft. Now there's some coordination that needs to be had. The new practices and guiding principles that we have been setting out for how you are developing your application needs to be considerate about the principles of side by side and that. So there's some new things that go into the process of development. So hopefully that comes across clearly. For those of you that are involved in implementation that are running on version 7 and still having overlayering, I'd like to call to action that we are setting a deadline by January 1st to be locking requests, so that we jointly have insight to what request are we to have addressed to unblock for getting onto the 10.0 release. And the expectation is, from a support point of view, that as we are addressing those requests, that companies will then be moving to the 10.0 release and move into this continuous update basis. So be well aware that for those installations, it's actually due time to start looking at extensibility and what request this may lead to. And with that, we'll move into opening up for questions. Please.
Yes, I just have one. So, hey, we have, if I have a customer that's really did a horrible job with customization before I got there, and they want to go to D365, and let's say that they wanted to purchase this and move on this in let's say 3 months from now, or even next year, do they have to be in position of modifying their customizations into these extensions before they can even get the first update then?
In effect, yes. The only, so if they are in 2012 or earlier, is that what
you're talking about? Consider 2012, yeah.
Right. So the recommended approach that we are going out with is that they go directly to the current version. To us, it really wouldn't make sense that you go on some intermediate version and add just additional workload in that regard. So yes, it's a matter of initiating that migration, looking at on the most current version where they're at and how those customizations can be brought over, locking the extensibility request and going through the process there. And if they have a lot to cater for, it probably takes some time to...
That was my point. It could take 6 months. It could take 8 months. It could take a considerable amount of time to get there. So they just have to go through that work, and then they'll receive the cumulative update at that particular time.
Yes.
Yeah, the key things there is that, the latest update is 8, and 8 is locked for the application. So, they need to get everything working with extensions versus overlaying. That said, as Frank mentioned, that nice diagram that had like the kind of top line and then making some requests down to us and then we go across. So if they make those requests early, they can then, in the documentation, we have some flags that you can set to like enable overlayering again, so that you can be working on the 8.0 application and have overlayering, at least in a kind of dev test scenario, and while those extensibility requests are getting satisfied. Right, right. Yeah, it's a key capability that people are taking advantage of, yes.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi.
You mentioned, just to clarify, you mentioned that when an extensibility request is resolved, the extensibility point will be published for the latest version
Only,
Yes.
yes.
only. So, for instance, if we go a bit further in the timeline, when 8.1 is released in January, and for customers running on 7.3 or 8.0, they will have to move to 8.1 to get the extensibility point they have requested.
They need to be moving to the current version where it's
yeah, I know, but
implemented. Yes.
in that case, they can't actually wait and go directly to 10. They have to go to 8.1 first to get the extensibility point.
The extensibility point would be in 10 as well.
We all,
Yeah, I know, but if we take the timeline, because we are only 10 is available from April.
actually not. Let me clarify on that. And actually you should be looking at the decision that Shelley did,
Yeah.
because it speaks to some of the timeline. I spoke a little bit about the rings. Actually, in start of January, that's where we make the 10.0 available initially.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, January 10, and now in October 8.1, but
8.1, yeah.
yeah. So, but
8.1 is out now.
yeah, sorry, yeah, that's right. But so the customers will be moving to the 8.1, for instance, in November, when the extensibility request has been resolved. Then they will have to go to 8.1, and they can't wait and go directly to 10.
Well, in principle, it can. It comes down to some detailed
but
timing.
If they have to validate and complete the...
Like if validation is something happening early on next year, it probably makes sense to go to 10 directly, right? Because availability of 10 would be there at that point of time. And if we made an extensibility request rolling into the 8.1.1 or 8.1.2 or whatever it is, or even 10.0, then it would be available there to integrate.
I mean, you can always have like a sandbox or a dev test environment, get that on the latest now, test that, make sure that it's going to work, and then when 10.0 comes along, you can like update to that, still make sure that it's working, and then update your production at that point.
Okay.
You have a lot of flexibility there.
I'll add one thing to that is, and really the continuous update that we're moving towards would also likely have an impact into implementation. If you're in flight or in the process of going live with the customer and you're shooting for 8.1 and 10.0 comes out, you should go for 10.0.
Yeah.
You should upgrade directly for 10.0 and go live there instead.
Okay.
And obviously there's a little bit of work around planning then the testing and that timeline, but we're trying to be aggressive in getting to the current even during an implementation.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I've got one. And I have to apologize, I got here a little late, so if you covered this, I'm sorry.
Sure.
What's the story for people that find extensibility issues on January 2nd? So I'm with a partner, I'm thinking about implementations that start after January 1st. You know, we feel like we've got good coverage with our clients now, but they find something new on January 2nd, what do we do?
Just log them.
We talk, I mean...
To me, it sounds like it's like you're looking for a wave of requests to kind of get through on January 1st, but I want to make sure it doesn't end at that point and we're just kind of done with flexibility on
Yeah, you should log them as soon as you can. The key for that like deadline or that like, hey, you should get your extensibility requests in is that there's this, we want people updating to the latest versions. And the point was thrown out there that, oh, well, customers could wait until right before they're meant to update and then say, oh, wait, we can't because we've got this problem, we need these extensibility requests. Like, we've got these extensibility requests that need to be satisfied. And the idea is to try and, like, encourage you to log those extensibility requests as soon as possible so that we have more time to satisfy them.
Okay.
There's at least one justification.
And really it connects back to that date is set for those that are on the version 7X something,
Yes.
to look at their customization as they have them today to bring that into extensions.
Yeah.
And that should be a known baseline to go by. And the expectation we're setting is that go through analyzing them and analyzing the request by January 1st. And if you're doing a good job with that, and there's a single one that is a late discovery, we're probably reasonable on that.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
it's another state to be in if you're doing some continuous development, where the monthly cadence type of update is more like the vehicle for that. And that's more independent of that hard deadline there. But I'd say, if you're starting with 7 and we're covering the baseline, then this should go to the sealed application 8 or 10. And then these additions that you're doing by having a new request for a new capability should just roll into that cadence where you have a monthly update and then getting added to it along with that.
Yep, makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Upgrading from version 7.3 to version 10, are there any advantages of doing that in 2 steps, to version 8.1 and then to version 10?
No.
From what version to what version?
7.3 to version 10.
Yeah.
And are there any advantages of doing that in 2 steps? 7.3 to 8.1?
Not really. Not
The
really.
advantage is just going to be your discovery over time. It's going to allow you, like if you do an update now to a dev test environment, for example, you'll be able to see what's changed, what needs to be adjusted.
Yeah.
It'll give you time leading up to 10.0.
That-
Then when 10.0 comes out, it's an easier move for you.
That's a good point. Between 7.3 and 8.1 in particular, it's an upgrade you go through.
Mhm.
While beyond that, it's an update. And we're making a distinction there to reflect how seamless it is to move along with that. For the 7X, 7.3 to 8.1, there can be some elements of the data model that will change, where there's some upgrade elements that needs to be done. So some work is expected there. You're expected actually also to compile the application as part of that. And there can be some changes that needs to be done there as an effect of that. For instance, enumerables we have been making extendable, some of that. So there's a little bit more work there than would be between 8.1 to 10.
Right.
So if you want to kind of flatten out that work somewhat, then from that angle, it may make sense to go to 8.1
Okay.
prior.
I still have to do the same work going directly from 7.3 to version 10.
Yeah, largely so, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, well, thanks, everyone. We'll be here for questions for a little while longer if you want to come up and ask questions. But thanks for attending the session today.
And submit your eval. Thank you.